top image, they want us to name a straight angle, two acute angles, two obtuse angles, and a right angle. Remember when we classified angles in our notes the other day, what we said was right was 90, obtuse was bigger than 90, acute was less than 90, and a straight angle was what it sounds like. It's a straight line. There's no turn to the angle, okay? So where do you see 3 points, okay, that if you connect 3 points, it's a straight line? I heard PXM, okay? I could also say MXP. I could go backward, okay? But those are the only 3 that if I connect, it is a straight angle. There's no turn to it. So PXM or MXP is what you should have written there. And remember, we use the angle symbol, or you could have done MXP. Oops.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because I'm new. So when we did the notes and everything, it said do a line with the 2 letters. Like, will we do PM? Like, why wouldn't we do PM or MP?
Because these are angles. That's a good question. So remember when we're naming things, and we can add this, you can write this on the back of your notes somewhere. It was angles and planes are 3 letters. Lines, line segments, and rays are 2 letters. Okay. So if you want to write that down anywhere you can it's all in the notes individually, but if you wanted to put that all in one place, you could. Okay, so now we want 2 different acute angles. So acute means small. So does anybody want to share what one that they named? You can raise your hand. Okay, yeah, Destiny. LXM. And remember, connect the dots. Let's trace it and see. L to X to M. Okay, so this bottom right angle here, that is less than 90 degrees. Okay, it's not like the corner of a room or a corner of a square. Okay, so that is an acute angle. So that's only one of many. Okay, that same angle could be named backwards, MXL. So LXM or MXL, that's one. And I'll color code over here while we do this. So LXM. Okay, did anybody else name a different angle for their acute angle? I'll get somebody else that hadn't shared. Okay, I'll just call on people if y'all aren't gonna raise your hands. Natalie, did y'all get one? Yeah. What did y'all label? Let's trace JXP. Okay, so that blue angle, JXP, that is also acute, so that's good. Those are not the only 2 acute angles there. Okay, there's this angle here, JXK. You could have named that one. And remember, you could name it backwards. It could be KXJ. I know yellow's hard to see, sorry. There's this one here, KXL in green. Or LXK, you could name it backwards. All 4 of those are acute angles. Those are all less than 90 degrees. So you could have done any of those 4. You were supposed to name at least 2. All right, 2 obtuse angles. What does obtuse mean? More than 90. So let's skip that and come back to it. Where is there a right angle label, Destiny? So do you see this box right here? That is a 90-degree angle mark. So here, this angle, that's the one that's the 90-degree angle. So KXM or MXK, whichever way you want to name that. Oops. This to not be dashed. Still dashed. Cool. whatever. K, X, M. So KXM or MXK is a way that you could name that 90-degree angle. Okay, so now that and I wrote it in the wrong spot, so that's cool. Let me fix that. Okay, now obtuse means greater than 90. So I could, if I started at M to X, because X is the vertex of all of these, right? X is the middle of all of these angles. So if I start at M and go to X, if I go to L, that's acute. If I go to K, that's right. So I'd have to go to J, right, to get an obtuse angle, make it bigger. Okay, because that would go all, that's not supposed to erase. I'd have to go all of that together would be obtuse. So MXJ. You put the angle symbol in front and you could go backwards. JXM is correct as well. Okay, or I could have done on the other side. If I started with P, PX, where would I have to go to get an obtuse angle? PXL, that one there. Okay, so I could have done that one as well. Pieces there, whatever. Y'all feel okay about those? Naming obtuse, acute, right, and straight? Okay. So down here is where I was noticing some of the more mistakes because a lot of y'all were just saying cute, obtuse, or right, or you were categorizing it instead of naming it. They're asking us here to name each angle indicated in the picture. So it's where the arrow is pointing. Okay, so here the vertex is R, so I definitely have to use R. I could use just angle R, and that would be enough in this case. Up here in this previous one, I could not just say angle X because there's a lot of different angles with X as the vertex, right? But in this picture, there's only one angle with R as the vertex, so I'm allowed to just use the vertex if it's the only angle there at that vertex. Okay, but if I was going to name it with 3 letters, what order would I put them? I could go QRS and trace it to check. QRS. That's the angle that it's pointed to, right? So that would work. What other order could I trace? S, R, Q. And that's the angle that the arrow's pointing to. So any of these 3 are correct ways to name that angle. And now in B, the indicated angle is here. What's the vertex? Can I call this one just angle L? I can't because this diagonal is drawn. So there's more than one angle with L as the vertex. So I cannot say angle L. It's not clear which one I'm talking about if I say angle L. So I have to be more specific. So what order do I have to list the points to trace that angle where the arrow is? M to L to N, that would work. Okay, or in reverse, N to L to M. Both of those would work. Those are the only 2 correct answers for this one. You can't say angle L. It's not specific enough for this picture. Okay, now this one, maybe you didn't quite get, they're putting an arc here. See this arc is drawn? They're pointing at that arc. They're saying that entire angle, because there's a diagonal drawn. They don't want just one side of that diagonal. They want this whole thing. Okay, what's the vertex of that angle? Okay, in this case, I also cannot just say angle B because that diagonal's drawn. There's this angle B on the left, on the right. The whole big thing has B as the vertex. There's 3 different angles that could be angle B. So we have to use 3 letters. If I want that entire angle, what order would I put the letters? ABC. Let's trace it, and I'll show you if I start at A, go to B, and then C, that's the angle that they're pointing at. That's good. Or you can go backwards, CBA. Okay, last but not least, they're pointing at this angle where G is the vertex. But again, there's two different angle Gs, or actually three. It could be the straight angle, EGH. It could be this acute angle on the left, or this obtuse angle on the right. The arrow is pointing to the obtuse angle. I want to name that obtuse angle on the right side where G is the vertex. So what order would I have to put the letters? I could, what the heck? F, G to H. So if I trace it, F, G, H. Remember, just play connect the dots and see if it's the right angle. Okay, or you could do it backward, H, G, F. That would be correct also. Y'all feel a little bit better about naming angles now that I've gone over that? I hope. All right, I want you to get out. You got a worksheet on Friday. We spent about half the class on Friday with y'all individually. Y'all were able to work together, but y'all all individually had your own paper. I told you if you didn't finish on Friday, you could turn it in on Monday. It's Monday now. Okay, so you're going to turn that in. Let me pull up so you see which one I'm talking about. It is. Oh, hey. Hang on. Kenzie had asked. She was waiting. Let her go first. She asked right when she came in from lunch. I asked her to wait till I was done going over that.
I didn't know, yeah.
No, you're good. You weren't. Okay. Here is the practice I'm talking about. This one here. Okay. Everybody should have this worksheet. Okay. If you finished it and turned it in already, awesome. If you still have this, and you may some people have like this last section to finish, or maybe you skipped around and you need to go back and finish a few, this would be a great time for you to do that. And if you have questions, okay, Ms. Bogus or I can come around and help you with questions before you get this turned in. I do have a few in the tray over here turned in, but it's definitely not everybody's. So remember, when we're turning papers in, when it's a paper assignment and not online, it's this tray back here. Okay, they're labeled by class period. So y'all are 5th period, and today it's on time. So you put it in this top tray. Okay, so you need to get that out and work on finishing it if you have not finished it. Okay, if you have finished it and you're ready to move on to the next thing, okay, I want you to, we're going to get our Delta map. I'm going to show you where our setup is. So if you go back to, you can get your laptops out and go back to our homepage here. Actually, let me stop. I'm done with the lesson, so I'm going to stop this recording.